All right. Peace, 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 family. Shalom, shalom. Happy Shabbat. Um, hold on, give me 1 second. All right. All right. Shalom, 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 shalom. Happy Shabbat to each one of you. This is Moreh Yaakov. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, family. All right. Shalom, shalom. Happy Shabbat. Let me make sure it's up. All right. Shalom, shalom. Happy Shabbat. Let me make sure it's up. All right. That sounds good. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. This is Moreh Yaakov in another segment for the Indigenous Talk for the Righteous Entertainment Network. Okay. This is Moreh Yaakov and Indigenous Talk for the Righteous Network. I'm coming on late. I had an emergency that took place. But we thank the Creator for everything that has transpired within the realm. We thank the Creator for everything that He has done, He will do. We thank Him for Him allowing us to be here today. We thank the Creator for just doing whatever. But before we get started, let's blow the shofar. So, family, thank you for joining me. This is Moreh Yaakov. We thank the Creator for just giving us everything that He allowed to come to us in shelter, clothes, protection, knowledge, and just giving us the wits to be able to understand who we supposed to be and what we supposed to be in this life. So we thank the Creator for everything. We talk about everything. So I thank the Creator. I thank the Creator for life, health, and strength. A lot of times we take things for granted, and we do a lot of things for popularity. But I thank the Creator for what He has given me. I don't look for popularity. I just try to be who I am and do what I do But without no further ado, I want to kind of address something real quick. I was on an interesting conversation, last night with some brothers. And some brothers, they brought up the conversation. The conversation was about marriage. And the thing is, what we have a tendency of making things more difficult than what it actually is. And what I mean by that, we think the female is our property. The female is not property. She's not your property. She's not your property. I don't understand why do we feel that she's our property. I'm just trying to adjust my mic. I don't understand why we think that she is our property. She's not property. She's your helpmeet. That means she's supposed to be here to assist you. But we got a lot of stuff messed up. We got a lot of stuff all twisted up and twisted down. And, like I say, we have the notion of what we believe. There's a lot of things that happens for a reason. And a lot of people don't want to admit to that. And if we can't admit to why things were brought about in the first place, then we are not really being honest with ourselves. That's why I get to the point where is that we don't understand why we are causing so much conflict between one another. Because we want to see ourselves in truth. Instead of us trying to just look at logic. One brother, he gets upset with me because he wants to believe, he asked me what constitutes marriage, and I told him an agreement. So if the brother is watching, I want to bring this up to you. I want to bring this to you, family. I'm gonna go to Genesis 24:61. And Rebecca arose. This is what Rebecca did. Rebecca arose, and her damsel, and they rode upon the camels and followed the man. And the servant took Rebecca and went his way. So what is that saying? Did she go on her own free will? Or did she agree when Abraham's servant went and met her and explained to her what he need her to do? Marriage is an agreement between two people. Even in the scripture when it says that the man has to go and meet the female's father and pay money to him for his daughter. Is that saying that the female don't have a choice to marry that guy? Y'all making it sound like the female is just nothing. The female has a mind as well. But the only reason why she don't rebel is because she was raised in that mindset of accepting what her father has done. Today, we are not raised that way, the females. Because if the females were raised that way, then the females, a lot of men will already be married, those who are not married, and a lot of men had a virgin before the female went out there and had sex with many other men. But a lot of us, we don't want to talk the reality of the truth. That's why we are in the position and the condition that we are in today. Divorce is something new on the earth. That wasn't something from the beginning, because if it was, Adam could have divorced Eve. But he couldn't, because that was not there from the beginning. That's what I'm trying to say. And like one brother said last night, well, it is here now. Yes, it's here now, but we still have to realize the purpose of why it's here now. It's not that the Creator accept divorce, because he don't. How do that woman get rid of the energy of that first man? How does she do that? Because as he's imparting himself in her, she's metamorphing into him. She's metamorphing. She's becoming him. That's how the two become one in that physical sense. So how does she get rid of him? How? A woman was never created to be passed around. She was created to be with one man. But because of our stiff-neckedness as men, we chose that road. See, we don't want to accept truth. And that's why we're in the condition that we're in right now as a people. So as you come in, please press that like button and that subscribe button. It'd be appreciated to the channel and to YouTube algorithm. It doesn't make a difference to me how many people fellowship with me. A lot of people can just walk away. I wouldn't care. Because it's like Joshua say, as for me and what? My house, we will serve the Creator. That's it. But marriage constitutes an agreement between the male and the female. The female has to agree just as much as the male. And like I say, I just gave you Genesis what, 24? You read Genesis 24 for yourself. When Abraham told his servant not to go and get no Canaanite woman, but go back to his land and get a female from there from among his family to bring to his son Isaac. But just because he went back to he went to his land and told him about this and that, that don't mean that a woman had to agree to that. That was her choice still. And that's the thing that we don't want to accept. Same thing when it comes to divorce. How do the female get the male's energy from out of herself? Once when he imparts that in her, how does she get it out? So that's some things we have to think about. Those are some things we have to think about. But without no further ado, family, let's get into the lesson. America's where the promised land is. Okay, let's get into that. Because a lot of people think that America, the promised land is over there in that 1948 Israel. That's what a lot of people think that. Where do you think is that? Let me share my screen for a minute. Got a couple of videos to show today. We don't want to believe I want to put it, the slave trade never happened. The slave trade never happened. So fair use, fair use. Let me let it do what it do. So if the brother is watching, I want to bring this up. So let's go. Let's get into the video. Let's get into the video. And wait till it come up. All right, here we go. So fair use, fair use. Under the 1976 Copyright Act. This is not my material. This is material just for us to build upon and for us to be able to learn from, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's go.
Just because you don't find the word Indian on certain records when doing your genealogy does not mean you're not Indian. This is a prime example why, right here. Watch this.
The participate in elections was by identifying themselves as African Americans.
So the charter that the Indians can't vote. And he says, "You vote, ain't you?" And he says, "No." He says, I consider myself a Narragansett Indian. If I vote, I'm voting under Negroes could vote, but not an Indian, not a black. So
do you see that? They made these American Indians register as Negro in order to vote. No longer Indian.
So look what just took place. These folks wanted to vote into this system, and they had to change their identity to Negro. So where did these black, so-called copper color Indians named called Narragansetts, where they come from? Who are them? We don't understand this. They had to change their identity from Indian to Negro in order to vote in this political system. What part we don't understand? You say, well, Moray, that don't constitute that America is the promise. That's America is where the promised land is. Let's just keep going. Why did they have to change their identity? Nobody else had to change their identity in order to vote. So why did they have to change their identity in order to vote? Let's go to the N word. Because a lot of us, we love we love these rappers call the so-called melanated man this word. A lot of it, we use this word even on our own people. We already word. And this is the problem. All right, fair use under the 1976 Copyright Act. And this is the N-word. Where did the word nigga come from? Nigga. Where did that word come from? Let's go.
Says here the facts on file, Encyclopedia of Word and Phrase Origins, 4th edition. Definitions and origins of more than 15,000 words and expressions by Robert Hendrickson. Says here the N-word. I'm not going to say the full word, especially so we don't get this video taken down. When used by white person to describe a black or African American person, this is probably the most offensive, hateful, hurtful term in the language today. Like Negro, the word derives ultimately from the Latin Niger, black. It is not an Americanism. The first recorded use of the N-word being in a 1786 poem by Robert Burns, although variations on it include, and this has Negar here and the rest of them as you see here, are recorded 2 centuries before then. Though African Americans do commonly use the word in different ways among themselves, and that N-word got luck you wouldn't believe. Blacks rarely, if ever, do so in the presence of whites, right? So-called blacks and whites. This is cream color talk here, guys. Since the
Right, because a lot of us, we get offended when we hear a pale person call us this N-word. We get offended. We get angry, we get mad, we ready to fight. But let's keep going.
The O.J. Simpson murder trial in 1995, when evidence of its use by a detective witness was introduced, it often has been euphemistically called the N-word. The N-word has also been an offensive derogatory term applied to Indians, okay? That's what I wanted to show you. It was applied to Indians as well as so-called blacks up until recent times. All right, over here we got just another quick references. Historical quotes from Oxford Dictionary. Yes, this was in the Oxford Dictionary. One of the definitions says for the N-word, a dark-skinned person of any origin. An early U.S. use, usually originally in early use, it was first applied to who? To American Indians. American Indians, again, from the Oxford Dictionary, one of the very old versions.
So if the Oxford Dictionary is showing you that the word nigger is applied to a dark-skinned person of any origin in early U.S. use, usually with reference to American Indian. Why do you think they was calling you nigger? A Negro? Because they was referring to you as an Indian. That's why when many of you have Negro on your birth certificates, such as mine, they are literally telling you that you're an Indian. You're an Indian. You're an Indian family. But a lot of us, we don't get to that point. We just think that these folks are just pulling our tail. That's what we believe. That's what we believe. Because we are not paying attention to what a lot of these words mean. And a lot of older people are not teaching this history no more. And you have to ask yourself why. You have to ask yourself why. Okay? Let's keep it moving. Let's go into another video of Camilo. Wait till you come back up. Egyptian Dallas. Wait till it gets buffering right now. America is where the promised land is. America is where the promised land is. All right, here we go. Let's talk about something that a lot of people know. How did Egypt get into America? Anybody wants to talk about that? America. Let me put the link is in the chat. Anthony Johnson. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna have to go back in.
Right now, we're going to mention America. Los Angeles.
Here we go. All right, let's ride.
Wow. Hey, much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Thanks for tuning in once again. So we're going to read from this book. We've read it before, a couple of chapters. A lot of great info here. We're going to get into. There's 2 volumes of this with so much information. And we start getting deeper and deeper with the history of certain religions, mythology, and culture. There's definitely some babes to pull out of this book. And of course, we're always going to dodge the hijack when we see it. The book is Anacalypsis, an attempt to draw aside the veil of the Saitic Isis, or an inquiry into the origin of languages, nations, and religions, by Godfrey Higgins. This is volume 1. This is written in 1836. So again, this volume includes many books, I believe 10 books. We're in book 1, chapter 4. And it says here, 2 ancient Ethiopias. There's 2 Ethiopias, huh? The 2 Ethiopias.
So it's 2 Ethiopias. It's 2. According to this book, it's 2 Ethiopias. It's 2 ancient Ethiopias. Let's go.
Great black nation in Asia. The black nation in Asia. The Buddha of India, a Negro. The Arabians were Cushites, Menon, shepherd kings, Hindus and Egyptians similar. Syria people from India. In taking a survey of the human inhabitants of the world, we find 2 classes distinguished from each other by a clear and definite line of demarcation: the black and white colors of their skins. That's the hijack with the crayon colors. This distinction
Give me 1 second.
and mark we discovered to have existed in ages the most remote. If we suppose them all to have descended from one pair, the question arises, was that pair isn't to say that I thought them black? I should be accused of a fondness for paradox, and I should find a few persons to agree with me, as the African Negroes do when they tell Europeans that the devil is white. And yet no one, except a West India planter, will deny that the poor Africans have reason on their side. All right, that's the hijack with the whole out of Africa theories and that every so-called black person came out of Africa, because that's literally what they're insinuating.
But you have to agree, you have to understand that it's simply because why? He just showed you that there were Asians that were Negroes, Arabs that were Negroes. Okay? But he's still getting into the 2 Ethiopias. Let's go.
But let's see what point he's getting to. However, I say not that they were black, but I shall, in the course of this work, produce a number of extraordinary facts which will be quite sufficient to prove that a black race in very early times had more influence over the affairs of the world than has been lately suspected. And I think I shall show by some very striking circumstances yet existent that the effects of this influence have not entirely passed away.
All right, so he's like, I'm not gonna say Adam and Eve are black, but I am gonna say that there seems to be a lot of proof that melanated people had strong influence over the affairs of the world. It's just really silly for them to not even consider that. You know what I mean? Like,
If he's
duh.
telling you that melanated people have the influence over the world, how did the Caucasians or the pale man get it? How did they get the influence over the world? Or do they have the influence over the world? Or you think they got the influence over the world? Let's keep going.
But at least they're admitting to have found the evidence. It was the opinion of Sir William Jones that a great nation of blacks formerly possessed the dominion of Asia and held the seat of empire of Sidon. This must have been the people called by Mr. Maurice Cushites or Cutites described in Genesis.
Hold on. You mean to tell me Cushites are in Asia? Sidon, the empire of Sidon, is in what we call Asia today? I thought the Israelite camps that be on the corner say that was Moab. I thought that was Moab. Huh? I thought that was Moab. You see how when you bring out facts and you bring out writings, how the writings make you look someplace else other than what the real facts are? He said those were Asians. He said they were Asians. They come from Asia. They come from Asia, family. So why do we think that everybody come from Africa that is so-called melanated? Huh? Why do we think that? Let's go.
And the opinion that they were blacks is corroborated by the translators of the Pentateuch called the 70, constantly rendering the word Kush by Ethiopia. It is very certain that if this opinion be well founded, we must go for the time when this empire flourished to a period anterior to all our accidental circumstances, which have escaped amidst the ruins of empires in the wrecks of time. All right. So they're like, oh, there was a black empire. They're trying to make it seem like this was the only, though. That's the hijack. And remember, black is a crayon color.
Right. So they trying to make it look like it's only one empire that was melanated that dominated the earth. Just one. This is what they're trying to do. Okay, let's go.
We're going to have future videos on the so called black nations of Asia. We're just going to get our feet wet today. Of this nation, we have no account.
Because a lot
That's
of
what
people, they don't want to talk about the nations that's in Asia that are melanated. But they tell you that those people that have slanted eyes, that's Moab, that's your cousin. And Esau, the pale man, that's your brother. But nobody talks about who is the melanated Asians. They don't have slanted eyes. So where did the slanted eyes come from? Let's go.
what they say, right? We don't know anything about them. But it must have flourished after the deluge. And as our regular chronological systems fill up the time between the flood and what is called known undoubted history, if it be allowed to have existed, Its existence will, of course, prove that no dependence can be placed on the early parts of that history. It will show that all the early chronology is false, for the story of this empire is not told. It is certain that its existence can only be known from insulated circumstances collected from various quarters and combining to establish the fact. But if I succeed in collecting a sufficient number to carry conviction to an impartial mind, the empire must be allowed to have existed. All right, they're like having so much trouble accepting this, and he's having so much trouble trying to explain this to his so-called white colleagues that believe they are the first people. He's like, I'm still gonna try, okay? The religion of Buddha of India is well known to have been very ancient. In the most ancient temples scattered throughout Asia, where his worship is yet continued, he is found black as yet, okay? He is found in the temples, in the walls, all right? On the temple walls, he is found black as jet, with the black face, thick lips, and curly hair of the Negro. This is what you're.
But I thought the Negro was the only ones that were of that caliber. They didn't say nothing about no Asians being jet black with curly hair and thick lips. They didn't say that. But this brother bringing out Camarillo, he's bringing out that these Asians were Negro-like type. And see, when you go and tell people that you think as Negroes are Israelites, you are lying. Because Israel was not the only Negroes on the earth. Let's go.
You're finding Buddha being represented as in these ancient temples. We've shown that. Okay. Now remember previous videos we've done on Buddha. Remember his first name, Guatemala. His mom is Maya.
And see, that's his first name, Guatemala. See, that's where Guatemala come from. That's the first Buddha. That's the first Asian. Let's hear that again.
Where his worship is yet continued, he is found black as yet. Okay, he is found in the temples, in the walls. All right, on the temple walls, he is found black as jet, with the black face of the Negro. This is what you're finding Buddha being represented as in these ancient temples. We've shown that, okay? Now remember previous videos we've done on Buddha. Remember his first name, Guatemala. His mom is Maya. Who are the Naga? Where's Buddha really from?
And his mother name was Maya, the Mayans. See? So where are they really from? Where did they come from? Guatemala. Where's Guatemala? That's Central America. Where's the Mayans? Let's keep going. Let's ride. We building that. We building. Let's go.
Most people have no.
All right, let's get past this commercial. Just give me 1 minute.
Several statues of him may be met with in the Museum of the East India Company. There are 2 exemplars of him brooding on the face of the deep upon a coiled serpent. To what time are we to allot this Negro? You see what he's calling him? He will be proved to have been prior to the god called Krishna. He must have been prior or contemporaneous with the Black Empire, supposed by Sir William Jones to have flourished at Sidon. The religion of this Negro god is found by the ruins of his temples and other circumstances to have been spread over an immense extent of country, even to the remotest parts of Britain, and to have been professed by devotees inconceivably numerous. I very much doubt whether Christianity at this day is professed by more persons yet profess the religion of Buddha.
So when you're talking about the religion of Buddha, you're talking about a religion of Sidon. Now, who is Sidon? Who is Sidon? Let's go to Genesis, the 10th chapter. Let's go there real quick. Genesis, the 10th chapter. And let's look at whose son, who do Sidon come from? Let's go down to Ham's lineage. And that starts at let's start at verse let's start at verse 6. Okay. Let's start at verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Okay, Canaan was one of sons Ham. Excuse me. Canaan was one of Ham's son. Okay, that was not Ham's grandson. That was one of his sons. All right, that was Noah's grandson. Let me read it again. The sons of the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Put, okay, and Canaan. All right. And the sons of Cush was what? Sheba, Elviah, Sabatha, Ramah, Sabachia. And the sons of Ramah was Sheba and Dedan. The sons of Cush was what? Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. And he was mighty. He was a mighty hunter before the Creator. Wherefore it was said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Creator. And the beginning of the kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, Calah, and the land of Shinar. So the Tower of Babel, Canaan, Akkad, Erech, all that was Ham descendants. Out of the land went forth Ashur and built Nineveh and the cities of Rebuth and Calah. So Assyria was Ham's descendants. Okay? That was Ham's descendants. And Ritson between Nineveh and Calah, the same, is a great city. And Mizraim, Ludin, Amaniman, Lehaban, and Nafutim. I can't. Some of these names I can't pronounce. And it says the Casiliums, out of whom came Philistium, or the Philistines, and Capatorum. And Canaan, Canaan begot Sidon, the firstborn. So who is Sidon? The kingdom of Sidon. That's the nation Buddha came from. Those are Hamites. But you got these camps on the corner calling them your cousin. But the Bible specifically tells you that Sidon was Canaan's first son. Some people say Canaan came from Sidon. No, Sidon came from Canaan. That was his first son, and then it became Heath. So right here, he's talking about Hamites. In the name of Buddha was Guamala. And his mother's name was Maya. Guatemala. Where's Guatemala? Central America. But see, they got you thinking that Hamites, I mean, these people with these slanted eyes are Moabites. I'm showing you, and through this brother's video, that the Hamites are over here. The kingdom of Sidon is in Central America. Let's go.
Of this, I shall say more hereafter. When several cities, countries, or rivers at great distances from each other are found to be called by the same name, the coincidence cannot be attributed to accident, but some specific cause for such an effect must be looked for. Thus, we have several cities called Heliopolis, or the city of the sun, the reason for which is sufficiently obvious. Thus, again, there were several Alexandria.
Oh, he said there were several Alexandrias. So hold on. If there were several Alexandrias, so which Alexandria that you've been learning about? Let's go.
Ethiopias alluded to in ancient history, okay? Not just one. So when they're saying the Ethiopian Prester John, one above the higher or southern part of Egypt, and the other somewhere to the east of it. And as it has been thought in Arabia, the people of this latter are called Cushim in the Hebrew text of the Old Testament, and Ethiopians by the text of the Septuagint or the 70. That they cannot have been the Ethiopians of Africa is evident. They're not talking about the Ethiopians of Africa. All right.
So who are they talking about? What Ethiopians are they talking about? Because he said they're making a distinction that they're not talking about those Ethiopians over there in that land called Africa. So who are they talking about? What land are they talking about that is Ethiopia? Let's go.
Is saying it, he's letting you know it's evident from a single passage where they are said to have invaded Judah in the days of Asa. Judah or Utah. They invaded Utah.
See, he's breaking it down. They invaded Utah, which is Judah. That's what they invaded. Sidon invaded Utah. So the question now becomes, how did they get over here to invade? If they're not talking about Africa, where did they come from? They came from South America. That's where they came from, family, South America. They came from South America. That's why we have so much division among us. Because we already know that a lot of these nations around you ain't you. They just have the same skin tone as you, family. Let's keep it going.
Under Serah, their king or leader. But the Lord smote the Cushim, and Asa and the people that were with him pursued them unto Gerard, and the Ethiopians were overthrown. And they, for example, Asa and his people, smote all the cities round about Gerard, whence it plainly follows that the Kushim here mentioned were such as inhabited the part consequently, but not any part of the African Ethiopia, but Arabia. When it is said that Asa smote the Kushites or Ethiopians, they number 1 million of soldiers, as far as Gerard, and despoiled all the cities round about, it is absurd to suppose that Gerard and the lot of the tribe of Simeon is meant. The expression all the cities and the millions of men cannot apply to the little town of that tribe. Probably the city in Wilkinson's atlas in the Tabula Orientalis at the side of the Persian Gulf, which is called Gera, is the city meant by the word Gerard. All right, he said probably, and that Saba was near where it is placed by Dr. Stukely, or somewhere in the peninsula now called Arabia, or he doesn't know, right? He's guessing because this is true old world occasions might have been over here. And 2 Chronicles 21:16, it is said, and of the Arabians that were near the Ethiopians. This again shows that the Ethiopians were in the peninsula or bordered on it to the eastwards. They could not have lived to the west because the whole land of Egypt lay between them. All right, what Egypt? Ancient Egypt was here. So you see what I'm saying? If they went by land and the Red Sea lay between the two nations westward, the Red Sea, the Gulf of California, you mean?
That's
The
the
Mar
that's the
Bermejo,
Gulf of
or the
California.
Red Sea,
Uh-huh.
the true Red Sea. So remember, apply all that you're reading with the real places. In Habakkuk 3:7, the words Midian and Cushan are used as synonyms. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction. The curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. It is said in Numbers 12:1, and Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman, Cushit. It appears that this Ethiopian woman was the daughter of Jethro, priest of Midian, near Horeb in Arabia. Dr. Wells was justly observed that the Cush spoken of in Scripture is evidently Arabia, from Numbers 12:1, just cited, and that it is also certain from Exodus 2:15 to 21 that the wife of Moses was Midianitish, a woman, and it is proved that Midian or Madian was in Arabia, from Exodus 3:1, and consequently the Cush here spoken of and called Ethiopia must certainly mean Arabia. He also proves from Ezekiel 29:10 that when God says he will make the land desolate from the Tower of Syene to the borders of Ethiopia, Cush, he cannot mean an African Cush because he evidently means from one boundary of Egypt to the other. And as Syene is the southern boundary between the African Ethiopia and Egypt, it cannot possibly be that he speaks of the former, but of the other end of Egypt, which is Arabia. Yeah, that's if Egypt was over there, right? We already know ancient Egypt was here. So where was Arabia really, huh? The circumstance
So see, that's the thing what I'm saying. So where was really Arabia? Where was Arabia? Was Arabia really over there? Or is that a replica of them taking a name from over here and placing it over there? Let's keep going. Let's go. We got about 5 minutes on this, 5 more minutes in this video. Let's go.
of the translators of the Septuagint version of the Pentateuch, having rendered the word Cush by the word Ethiopia, is a very decisive proof that the theory of the Ethiopians is well founded. Let the translators have been who they may, it is totally impossible to believe that they could be so ignorant as to suppose that the African Ethiopia could border on the Euphrates, or that the Cushites could be African Ethiopians. All right, not African Ethiopians, huh? From all the accounts which modern travelers give of the country above Syene, there does not appear either from ruins or any other circumstance reason to believe that it was ever occupied by a nation strong enough to fight the battles and make the great figure in the world which we know the people called Cushites or Ethiopians did at different times. All right, there's no evidence of their settlements from ancient times there. The valley of the Nile is very narrow, not capable of containing a great powerful people. Okay, it's very narrow. In Saba, where either one or two cities of the Cushites or Ethiopians, and Pliny says that the Sabians extended from the Red Sea, the Gulf of California, thus giving them a whole of Arabia. One part of which it is well known is called Kush, from its fertility of soil and salubrity of climate. Felix, or the happy, Dr. Wells states that the Ethiopians of Africa alone are commonly called Ludim, both by ancient and modern writers. But the country east of the Euphrates was called Kush, as well as the country west of it, thus giving the capital of Persia, Susan or Susiana, which was said to be built by Menon, to the Kushites or Ethiopians, as well as Arabia. Mr. Frey in his vocabulary gives the word Kus as a word whose meaning is unknown, but the Septuagint tells us it meant black. Mr. Hyde shows that it was a common thing for the Chaldeans to substitute the tau for the shin, thus kut for kus. Thus, in their dialect, the Kutites were the same as the Kushites. And where was Chaldea? We're talking about Ireland. If my reader will examine all the remaining passages of the Old Testament, not cited by me, where the words Ethiopia and Ethiopians are used, he will see that many of them can by no possibility relate to the African Ethiopia. They're not talking about that, all right? So he's making a big point here, which I agree on, that they're not really talking about today's Ethiopia and Africa a lot of time in the Bible. Now he's conjecturing and he's putting it in Arabia and where he believes ancient Arabia was based on where it is today. And I know it's hard, but we got to dodge the hijack big time on this because ancient Egypt, we know the other Ethiopia or the Western Ethiopians, as the Greeks call the Americans, were right here. Eusebius states that Ethiopians to have come and settled in Egypt. All right, where? Here in ancient America to marry.
So they're letting you know that Egypt was right here. They came to settle here. They didn't come to settle anyplace else. They came to settle here. Okay? This is why we don't understand the truography of geography. They just done been telling you that you come from different other spots and you've been sitting there. You've been sitting there listening to what they've been telling you. And never ever question anything that they have told you. Okay? This is why this is why we don't get far. We got one more minute of this. Let's go.
In the time of Amenophis. According to this account, as well as to the account given by Philostratus, there was no such country as Ethiopia beyond Egypt until this invasion. According to Eusebius, these people came from the river.
Let's hear that again. Let's hear that again. Check out what he about to say for real. Now listen to what he's saying.
Today's Ethiopia and Africa a lot of time in the Bible. Now he's conjecturing and he's putting it in Arabia and where he believes ancient Arabia was based on where it is today. And I know it's hard, but we got to dodge the hijack big time on this because ancient Egypt, we know the other Ethiopia or the Western Ethiopians, as the Greeks call the Americans, were right here. Eusebius states that Ethiopians to have come and settled in Egypt. All right, where? Here in the account, as well as to the account given by Philostratus. There was no such country as Ethiopia beyond Egypt until this invasion.
Okay, so there was no country called Ethiopia beyond Egypt until this invasion. Let's go.
According to Eusebius, these people came from the river Indus and planted themselves to the south of Egypt in the country called from them Ethiopia. The circumstance.
So they came from Indu, which is Asia. So they're not naturally from that area. They're not. But if you just looking at them today, you'll think that's where they're naturally from. But right here is telling you that they're not from that area. So where they are from? Let's keep going.
Stands named by Eusebius that they came from the Indus at all events implies that they came from the east and not from the south, and would induce a person to suspect them of having crossed the Red Sea, all right, the Red Sea, the true ancient Red Sea from Arabia, so-called Arabia. They must either have done this or have come round the northern end of the Red Sea by the Isthmus of Suez, but they certainly could not have come from the present Ethiopian, not from the one they're calling Ethiopia today. You guys hear what he's saying? But there are several passages in ancient writers which prove that Eusebius is right in saying not only that they came from the east, but from a very distant or very eastern part, the far, far, far east. And you know how many times I've told you guys that the farthest east or the far, far, far east, the distant east is America. This is a big one right here. They're letting you know. They're not talking about Africa. Herodotus says that there were two Ethiopian nations, one in India, the other in Egypt. And to marry America, he derived.
So Ethiopia was never in Africa. It was in India and America. The second Ethiopia was in India. Let's go.
This information from the Egyptian priests, a race of people who must have known the truth, and there seems no reason either for them or Herodotus to misstated the fact. Philostratus says that the gymnosophists of Ethiopia, who settled near the sources of the Nile, descended from the Brahmins of India, having been driven thence for the murder of their king. This Philostratus says he learned from an ancient Brahmin called Jachas. All right. And again, who are these Brahmins? These ancient Brahmins. That's going to tie into the ancient Ireland, British Isles history.
And Kamala Harris' parents, her mother was a Brahmin. A Brahmin is someone that's up there in high ranking in that India over there. Go look up her history. Go look up her history. Those are Canaanites. I mean, not Canaanites. Those are they are from the kingdom of Sidon. Those are Canaanites. Kamala Harris is a Canaanite. See, this is how you get to the point of where you need to be at. And it's amazing how how a lot of you accept her as you. Let's keep going. Got about like another 80 seconds. Let's go. 80 minutes.
Now, the ancient writer Eustachius also states that Ethiopians came from India. What India? Because you know North America is India superior.
That's right, because the Indies, because that India over there was called Hindustan, not India. The Indies is down in the islands. The West Indies islands. Let's go.
3 Indias. These concurrent accounts can scarcely be doubted, and here may be discovered the mode and time also when great numbers of ancient rites and ceremonies might be imported from India into Egypt, for that there was a most intimate relation between them in very ancient times, cannot be doubted. Indeed, it is not doubted. The only question has been whether Egypt borrowed from India or India from Egypt.
But they both were families. They come from the brothers, Canaan and Mizraim. They come from the brothers. Let's go.
And it's funny because the reason it's so similar is because we're talking about the same place in ancient America. All probabilities clearly, for 1,000 reasons in favor of the superior antiquity of India, so-called India, the three Indias. Remember, India today was called Hindustan. It wasn't called India. And Bharat, not India.
Yep, Bharat. We're gonna end this video right here in Bharat, not India. Hindustan, not India. So where were India at? Where were India at? Where were India? Hey, shalom, brother Isaiah. Shalom. Where was India at? See, this is where we have to go at. Where was India? See? Let's get into the next video. Because see, we have to get into where these things were and what these names of these places were and where the people come from. See, who you call slanted eyes over there in that Asia, you call them Moabites. They are not Moabites. The real Asians are melanated, who don't have slanted eyes. And they migrated from Indo to Africa, what you call Africa today. They migrated. But y'all would sit there and tell people, oh, those are real Africans over there. That's their land. No, it's not. Most of those people migrated into that land. Only a selective few melanated people are indigenous to that land. Just like Sidon. Sidon is down in Guatemala. That's the Buddha temple. That's where Buddha literally come from. His mother name was Maya, the Mayans. This is how you start placing people where they're at. And some of you got these people in your camp calling them Israelites, and they're Hamites. They're literally Hamites. See, this is how you break stuff down and put things back into its proper perspective. We go by some 12-tribe chart, but that's why these people look at you funny when you tell them that they're Israelites. They don't mind being you because you don't even know who you are. And that's why a lot of them laugh at you. Because when Jeremiah 17:3 and 4 and 5 tells you that Israel lost its culture, that was not no joke. That's not a joke. They literally took your culture from you. And because you're looking for acceptance from something, you include them to make you somebody, to make you feel included. So you really think that these nations is going to allow you to orchestrate yourself back to be a nation when it was their objective, according to Psalms 83, to literally disband you? for you, do not be a nation. So now they're going to just allow you to come back to be a nation. They're not going to put up a fight to keep you in confusion so as that they can continue to rule. That's not what this is about. That's not what that was about. So they just let you just pick up everything, grab everything, and remind everybody around you that they're the Israelites. They're just going to allow you to do that. How did they disband you from the beginning? They disband you because they got people that look like you. They look like you. They learned the ways of you and became you. They realize your custom. They understand the values of you. You don't think they know Torah? Yeah, they study Torah. Abraham taught all his children Torah. They studied you. Now look at them. They mimicking you. They done took the dances of you, and now they dancing like that all over the world. Some of you been foolish to even train them to be like you. And thought it's cool, like, ooh, look at this man right here acting like us, man. Look at that. Give me that, give me that, give me that. That's what you do. Not knowing when you learn and teach them they can infiltrate you. That's why when you see a Caucasian man, he'll cut his hair off real low to make himself look light-skinned. And if you ain't careful, you'll think he was just light-skinned. Because he got a little darkness in his skin tone. He come and talk like you, act like you, walk like you, dress like you. Why do you think these people, they learned your ways? So that the nation of Israel be remembered no more again. And they are having everyone that's melanated to infiltrate your communities. That's what they're doing. And we got people on the corners telling every melanated person that they Israel. They even going overseas telling people in those lands of Nigeria and all that, they Israelites. All because they say they keeping Torah. And they got you thinking that those people was always there from the beginning. But because you don't know no better, you sit there and run along with it. You don't question it. Because they told you, who is they? Your enemy told you Africa is a black land. The land of Africa is not always no black land. That's why we don't understand the real issue that is going on around us and with us as a people. That's why we don't know it. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's go to the next video. Fair use under the 1976 Copyright Act. This is not my material. Y'all go subscribe to this brother's page, Camario. This brother have some heat. I mean, some real heat. This ancient Egypt statues found in Illinois. So let's grab this right here real quick. Because a lot of us, we don't really understand the real issue of what has been taking place in us and around us. We just been sitting there listening to what everybody else tells us, but we don't go and do that for ourselves. Let's go. Fair use. That's the first book that he's going to bring out, Unearthing Ancient America. Let's ride.
Scoundrels
again from Frank Joseph, same author. I'm in chapter 1, says here anomalous artifacts. Mainstream scholars scoff at the very notion of ancient Egyptians sailing to our shores. All right. So I just want to again remind you that this author goes with the whole that the old world's on the other side, Mesopotamia, Egypt, the fake places. So he's finding Egyptian stuff here, right? He knows for sure it's Egyptian, but of course he's gonna add the out of Africa theories.
So if he knows this is ancient Egyptian artifacts and they found it in America, how did it get here? How did the ancient Egyptian statues and artifacts get here to America? How did they do it? Let's go.
So mainstream scholars will laugh if you say, well, the ancient Egyptians were here. Yet a ritual grave object could be physical proof of visitors to the American Midwest from the Nile Valley. Nile also means great river.
So now let's look at that real quick. Let's look at that name and significance. The word Mississippi itself comes from Mississippi. The French rendering of the Anishinaabe or Ajabi or the Algonquin. That is an Indian nation that is indigenous to this land, family. They are the Anishinaabe, which is known as the Algonquin, named for the river Mississippi, Great River. Mississippi or Mizraim. That is an Egyptian word, family. That's why I keep telling y'all some of these Indian tribes are Egyptian. Or the Canaanites. Or even the Moabites. Everybody is not Israel. So if the ancient Egyptians were here, who are they then, family? Where did they go? Because they calling every melanated person in America African American. They calling every melanated Negro, nigger, an Indian at one time. They calling every melanated person that were here when they found them Aboriginal or colored. Where did the Africans or where did the Egyptians go? Where did the real Ethiopians go? Where did the Canaanites that came from Zidon or the real Buddhists? Where did they go? See, that's an Egyptian word, the Mississippi, or the Mississippi, which called the Great River. Because if you pull up a map of the Mississippi before it became dammed, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I'm gonna do it after. I'm gonna do it afterwards. I'm gonna pull it up afterwards. Let's go. Let's keep going.
So what are you talking about? Because the Mississippi, you got mounds all over it. Remember Mound City, Cahokia, and all this other stuff? All these mounds that got destroyed. All the stuff they're finding in these places. We already gone over some.
And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, that they found mounds all over with artifacts in it. All up and down the Mississippi. That's why they dammed it. See, we don't even understand what was really taking place. Is the battery charger in there? In the front? It's probably up in that window sill, it's not. They had found all kinds of artifacts. Where did the artifacts go? Where did it go, family? Where did it go? Where did it go, family? See, we want to ignore all this information. Cahokia, the mounds that they found all over. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
All right. So just again, try to stay in the right perspective when we're reading this stuff. This potentially revealing find is described by Wayne May, the founder and publisher of Ancient American magazine. I actually called him up. He's a great guy. He sold me some magazines, gonna buy some more. He is also the author of This Land, his series of books describing a period in North American prehistory known as Hopewell, from 200 BC to 400 AD. Now it says here, an ancient Egyptian statue found in Illinois by Wayne May. News occasionally surfaces of persons claiming to have uncovered a dynastic Egyptian presence in prehistoric America. Unfortunately, their proofs for pharaonic visitors here are at best theoretically possible or at worst patently erroneous. Far less often a piece of exceptionally persuasive evidence emerges. Such was a statue featured on the front cover of Ancient American's 64th issue in 2006. And this is the image right here. All right. You guys can take a look at it. See that? They found that here. They found that here in the real ancient Egypt. They found that here.
The fact
So if they found that stuff here, and they only showing you one of the statues.
The Egyptian
let's see if they-
statuette allegedly
let's see if they
removed
show
from an
many
ancient
more.
burial
Let's go.
mound in Libertyville, Illinois. Little is known of the object's modern origins, save that it was found in Libertyville, Illinois, some 20 miles north of Chicago. During the
Why do you think Chicago is important? Why do you think Chicago is important? I keep telling y'all, and y'all wanted to laugh at the map that I put out. Yo, where's Moab? Where's Edom? Why are they finding all this stuff here? Why? 20 miles from Chicago. Why is it sitting next to Chicago? If that area between Chicago and further down south is not important to American history or to biblical history. Let's go.
the time of his discovery, in the early part of the 20th century, Libertyville was a sparsely populated agricultural community with only a few dirt roads, in sharp contrast to the sprawl of upper-class suburbia that mostly blankets the area today, just off of I-94 tollway. But before World War II, only several dozen families, mostly farmers, were spread over some 12,000 acres of large.
Now I wonder what color they were that was spread like that and had that much land during World War II. Let's go.
As a young man, the discoverer, whose widow has requested anonymity for her late husband, developed an abiding interest in collecting Indian artifacts, mostly arrowheads, he found in the vicinity of his home. But the
Hold on, he found arrowheads, Indian artifacts. So mainly in his backyard. Indian artifacts like arrowheads. Okay, let's go. Let's see what we get. Let's go.
richest sources for prehistoric materials were along the banks of the Des Plaines River and nearby Diamond Lake. otherwise seldom visited, its 5-mile shoreline featured a number of Indian burial mounds. He riffled for whatever grave goods might be dug out. These were usually limited to small pipes, spools, bones, flints, and other typical items. From one earthwork, however, he allegedly extracted a most atypical statuette. He never attempted to have his discovery professionally evaluated and showed it to only a few fellow collectors, perhaps for fear of criticism, either for having removed the object without informing the archaeological authorities in Chicago, or because such finds were automatically condemned as the forgeries of conmen trying to defraud money from collectors. Time passed. By the turn of the 21st century, his assemblage of more conventional Native American artifacts reached prodigious proportions. Only then did word of the strange statue reach me, and I, thanks to the generosity of a loyal subscriber, was able to purchase it. The well-crafted object stands 9 inches high, weighs approximately half a pound, and appears to have been sculpted from a single piece of off-white soapstone. It portrays a man wrapped in a kind of body stocking, from which his emerging hands holds a shepherd crook in the left and a flail in the right. The flail was an agricultural tool used in dynastic times by Nile Valley farmers to separate wheat from chaff by beating stacks of grain on a stone floor for threshing. Pharaohs were commonly depicted in sacred art holding such a device as the emblem of judgment, separating the good from the bad subjects. The shepherd's crook stood for political guidance over his flock, people. The Libertyville figure wears a stylized wig behind the ears, together with a long beard, beginning at the waist and descending to an area corresponding to the ankles are 8 lines of hieroglyphic text, with a single additional line composed of 4 glyphs running top to bottom from the ankles to the unexposed toes. Dr. Thompson's observations demonstrate the possibility, at least, of Egyptian voyagers to North American dynastic times. He was supported by Dr. Barry Fell, another unconventional scholar who uncovered evidence for an ancient Egyptian written language among Native Americans. At Harvard's Widener Library,
So he let's hear that again before I even give my little commentary on this. Let's hear that again. What the Native American, what the Native Americans was writing. Let's go.
toes. Dr. Thompson's observations demonstrate the possibility, at least, of Egyptian voyagers to North American dynastic times. He was supported by Dr. Barry Fell, another unconventional scholar who uncovered evidence for an ancient Egyptian written language among Native Americans.
So how did the ancient Native Americans, how did the Native Americans get ancient Egyptian written language among them? If they were the Egyptians. See, every Indian nation were not Israel. They were also Egyptians. That's why we can't get along. Because some of these nations are your enemies. It's okay to be Aboriginal, but who are you as a nation as being Aboriginal? Because all Indian tribes were not the same people. All Indian tribes did not have the same culture. All Indian tribes did not have the same language. And all Indian tribes did not have the same God. Let's go. Let's hear that one more time and we're going to move forward. That's why I'm telling people, when y'all go on the code and y'all be talking about all these so-called black folks are Israelites, y'all be only fooling yourself. That's why a lot of them reject you, because they know they're not Israelites. Their spirit already know they're not Israelites. Let's go.
From the ankles to the unexposed toes. Dr. Thompson's observations demonstrate the possibility, at least, of Egyptian voyagers to North American dynastic times. He was supported by Dr. Barry Fell, another unconventional scholar who uncovered evidence for an ancient Egyptian written language among Native Americans. At Harvard's Widener Library, he, with the help of fellow researcher, located copies of a 300-year-old papers. The priest had apparently put together a teaching aid for his Mi'kmaq Indian students who copied out the Lord's Prayer in hieroglyphics.
Uh-oh, there you go. They copied out the Lord's Prayer in hieroglyphics. These are Indian children. So you mean to tell me they understood the hieroglyphics? So when people tell you that you're an Egyptian, why would they be lying to you? Or an African? Why you think they're lying? That's why a lot of them don't want to trace their lineage back. That's why they're trying to keep you away from America. That's who they are. Their job is to keep you confused. That's why they would never tell you about the stuff that they found here. They will always try to get you back over there. They want to keep everything mixed up and mushed up. They want to do that. And the reason why they do that and they does that is because Psalms 83. See, we already found out where the real Buddhism at. That's in Central America, Guatemala. The Mayans. Those are Hamites. Some of them Asians migrated to that continent called Africa. They come from the kingdom Sidon, which are Canaanites. See, we don't want to point this stuff out. And now we are recognizing that some of the statues are found in Illinois among some Indian tribes, and they have the language of the Egyptians. Let's hear this one more time.
For an ancient Egyptian written language among Native Americans. At Harvard's Widener Library, he, with the help of fellow researcher, located copies of a 300-year-old papers composed by a Jesuit missionary in Canada's eastern provinces. The priest had apparently put together a teaching aid for his Mi'kmaq Indian students who copied out the Lord's Prayer in hieroglyphics. On closer examination, about half were recognizable hieratic and simplified form of Egyptian hieroglyphics. More surprisingly, the Mi'kmaq characters corresponded to the meaning of the Egyptian glyphs. Dr. Fell concluded that someone familiar with Egyptian hieroglyphic writing very long ago had contributed.
That's how they come to tell you what the hieroglyphic stands for, is because they learned that from you. Not you per se, but people that look like you right here. They didn't know what a lot of those writings were, but the Mi'kmaq Indians told you who they are. Now let's look up and see who the Mi'kmaq Indians are. Excuse me. The Mi'kmaq Indians. Let's see who they are. The Mi'kmaq Indians are spelled. Let me get it. Native Americans at Harvard that help us research located expires copies of a 300-old paper of the Jesuits missionary of the Canada Eastern Province. The priest had apparently put together a teaching aid. The Mi'kmaq, M-I-C-M-A-C, Mi'kmaq Indians. See, it already pulls it up. Who are the Mi'kmaq Indians? The Mi'kmaq, there were 66,748 Micmac people in the region as 2023, including 25,182 members in a more form Aquila First National. Does the Micmac people still exist today? They tell you contemporary Micmac communities are located predominantly in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, but with a significant presence in Quebec, Newfoundland, Maine, and the Boston area. Those are some of your Egyptians. Those are Ham's people. That's what they tell you today. That's where they at today. That's what they tell you. Those are Ham's people up in that area. Then you got the Assyrians, the Babylonians. See? That's who you have all up into that area. That's where Ham's lineage was. That's where some of Ham's lineage is at. Not just there, but also down in South America. Let's keep going.
All right, you guys hear that? That's exactly what they found. The Mormons, right? That's what Joseph Smith found, these tablets.
See the tablets? I keep telling y'all, they had the writings, and they got the writings. But you telling me, oh, that's the white man. Like, it's not. It's they got your stuff. But they ain't telling you what they got. Let's go.
Had this old Egyptian type script that they're calling it here. This is what they're talking about. And this was studied by Harvard. This is stuff they never told you. More evidence for Egyptian influence in pre-Columbian America surfaced in the Michigan tablets during the 1840s. Most of these.
Hold on, Michelin tablets in the 1840s? Family. When did compulsory education come into play? Hold on. They got these tablets in the 1840s. Now let's go to compulsory education up around Boston, Massachusetts. They found these in the Michigan area. Boston, Massachusetts is not that far from Michigan. Boston, Massachusetts is right there by New York, New Jersey, Delaware. So when did compulsory education came into play? Because see, that's why I keep trying to tell you, they know who you are. They know the nation you are and you come from. But their job is to keep everything bogged up and bogged down so the nation of Israel will stay on its back. Compulsory means to require the compulsory education. But let's look up the word compulsory first. That's COMPULSORY. Compulsory means required by law or a rule, obligatory, involving or exercising compulsion, whatever it is. See, they require you by law to learn their language, to learn their history, while they're finding yours and hiding yours. They're removing you through your kids, your children, the very culture of you. See? This is what they're doing. Let's go back. Let's hear it again. Let's go.
That's what Joseph Smith found, these tablets in New York in a cave, and they were of Mi'kmaq, and they had this old Egyptian type script that they're calling it here. This is what they're talking about. And this was studied by Harvard. This is stuff they never told you. More evidence for Egyptian influence in pre-Columbian America surfaced in the Michigan tablets during the 1840s. Most of these inscribed artifacts display an unfamiliar written script that nonetheless includes several Egyptian hieroglyphs. Again, so-called Egyptian hieroglyphs, right? America's true old world. Was it really called Tamarian? Tamari? Additional examples of Nile Valley effect on prehistoric America came from Burroughs Cave. All right, we're going to get into Burroughs Cave. Don't worry, guys. I know there's major things coming out of there in southern Illinois. I've been following that for years. All right, Burroughs Cave. Of the 7,000 inscribed stones removed from it since 1982.
Look at these artifacts.
All right, that's the year I was born.
Look at them. Look
Few
at these
bear
artifacts they
traces of
find.
Egyptian hieroglyphics, although many do depict persons dressed in Nile Valley garb. Joshua Priest, in his book American Antiquities, Discoveries in the West, all right, we've read his book, was one of the two mid-19th century explorers who documented the rock art illustrations of similarly custom men and women adorning the walls and ceilings of a site known as Cave in Rock State Park, again in southern Illinois. These varied collections of evidence support archaeological probabilities for the Libertyville Ushabti. Similar examples have been found elsewhere in the Americas, according to Mariano Cuevas in his 1922 Historia de la Nación Mexicana. An incident along the line of which no Americanist can ignore has been the fortuitous discovery of two statuettes. Their discovery was made a few years ago in August 1914 in a rural parish of His Excellency the Archbishop of San Salvador, the Reverend Father Belloso. All right, again, and this is again another book, another source telling us of the statues they found of Osiris and Isis in El Salvador. We've already done a video about this. Make sure you check it out if you haven't. We talked about it a little bit in one of the recent videos again, and it's going to tell us here firsthand account of the Reverend who actually found it or had it
Look at it.
in his possession in 1914. It says Professor Miguel Ángel González was conducting precise excavations in the city of Acajutla
In
the
El
Maya
Salvador.
area near the farthest limit of the railroad line. All right, this is in El Salvador, Central America. These excavations, which were undertaken at the request of the aforementioned Archbishop, resulted in the uncovering of two precious artifacts. One has to keep in mind that many similar objects have been encountered by ignorant natives and subsequently ruined. At this same site, according to the Central American historian Garcia Palaez, who was later Archbishop of Guatemala, there existed in antiquity a city that was very grand and important.
Did you know that you could get 50?
So we can see right here finding stuff here, though, like those two statues and all those other artifacts, stone tablet of gold. They've been finding that here and also in Central America. This is his stuff that they've been finding. Okay, let's keep going.
Characteristics and hieroglyphics identical to those found on classical Egyptian monuments. All right, so even the hieroglyphics on it is exactly the same. Remember, they found this in El Salvador, which also have analogous ellipses. Because all these characteristics, which are comparable to features of artifacts in the Cairo Museum. Now, pay attention, this is what I was saying earlier. How do we know a lot of those so-called artifacts in the Cairo Museum didn't come from ancient America?
See, and that's what I was telling a lot of people once before. And even Lil Moray, he even got it in one of his videos that when they find certain things, they ship it from here to over there and put that stuff in the museums over there. That's what they're not teaching you nor telling you, but they're dumbing you down on the education that really don't make no sense for you. And we get happy when our child make A's and straight A's, and oh, he's an honor roll child. But what do an A accomplish when your culture and your lifestyle is being ripped apart from you? The very nature of the history of your land is being ripped apart from you and ripped away from you. Because they told you everything started over there. But let's go. We got a few more minutes with this video. Let's go.
When they were coming here with their manifest destiny and destroying everything and rewriting history.
And let's real quick, and I'm glad he mentioned that. Let's look up manifest destiny. Let's look that up real quick. Let's look up manifest destiny. That's another word y'all need. That's another thing y'all need to pay attention to. Manifest destiny. What manifest destiny means? Manifest destiny was a cultural belief in the 19th century United States that American settlers were destined to expand across North America. They were destined to expand. That was manifest destiny. They were destined to take your stuff. Genesis 9:27. Look that up for yourself. Japheth shall enlarge himself in the tents of Shem. Go to Numbers 24:24. And Shem and Ashur will be destroyed together. That's Ham and Shem's lineage will be destroyed together by Japheth. But we don't believe that. We don't believe this. And then they're going to go, Amos 7:17, they're going to draw lines in your land, to divide it by lines. That's your city, your municipality, your county, your state, your federal. They divided it up in order for each one of them to get a piece of the pie. And now they got you living under their maritime jurisdiction because they took away your jurisdiction. Let's keep going.
We are able to confirm assertions that we have established a certain Egyptian heritage of these statuettes. These Mexican counterparts of the Illinois statue not only tend to support its identification as an ancient Egyptian Ushabti, but also suggest that our continent was indeed visited by travelers from the Nile Valley around 600 BC. All right, so dodge the hijack. The Mississippi is the Nile, meaning great river. That is the great river. That's a Greek word. Now this is a Greek word, guys. Egypt also is a Greek word. The Temple of Ptah. I'm gonna read from this book real quick. It's called The Lost History of Ancient America. Our continent was shaped by conquerors, influencers, and other visitors from across the ocean.
And make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Push thumbs up. Push thumbs up.
Author and these kind of things.
And make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the brother channel as well.
He's still coming within, Mesopotamia, out of Africa kind of mind frame. When he wrote his books. America's the true old world. Why do you think they're finding all these things here? All these so-called influences. This is the old world. I'm gonna read this real quick. Very interesting. You guys don't know about it. This is chapter 3. It says here, Egyptian style cat burial in Illinois by Professor Julia Patterson. More than 30 years ago, before highway construction engineers could obliterate a prehistoric burial ground, archaeologists excavated its 14 earthworks of various sizes. The structures were perched atop a bluff western part of the Prairie State, less than 50 miles north of St. Louis, Missouri. The largest dome of configured soil measured 92 feet across and stood 8 feet high as part of the Hopewell Culture Complex like some 2,000 years ago. All right.
The structure
So
right
before
here
this
that
was
they
destroyed.
found. This is an old picture that they found. It's called a cat burial. Let's go.
We already know they destroyed many mounds, a lot of the architecture, a lot of the prehistoric buildings, mounds, cities. This was a common thing. The Hopewell were a mound builder people of far-flung traders and skilled artisans who flourished from circa 600 BC to their extermination of the hands of so-called Native American tribes by 400 AD. All right, so that's kind of big. They're saying Native American tribes came and destroyed the Hopewell culture, the mound builders. Now we got to dodge the hijack with their carbon dating and dates. The Illinois site's foremost tomb was found to contain the bones of 22 human adults, evenly laid out in a ring formation around the central sepulture of a male infant skeleton. All right, you guys hear that and picture that? Nearby, the child carefully interred in its own grave, paws respectfully placed together, were the remains of a bobcat wearing a necklace of drilled, carved bear teeth in the shells of marine animals. All right, look at that, a bobcat. Isn't that the logo of the
Choctaw clan. That's the shield. See, you got to pay attention to the family shield. The Choctaw clan. Okay, let's see where they're from, because he's about to tell you where they're from. Let's go.
were the remains of a bobcat wearing a necklace of drilled, carved bear teeth in the shells of marine animals. All right, look at that, a bobcat. Isn't that the logo of the Choctaw clans of the Highland Scottish people? Choctaw. They have a bobcat, and they were seafarers. So it's funny that you find this here with shells of marine animals. No other wildcat has been buried by humans in the entire archaeological record. Researchers claim in a study published recently by the Mid-Continental Journal of Archaeology. But this supposedly unique discovery went unrecognized until 2011, when Angela Perry, then a PhD student at Britain's University of Durham, re-examined the bobcat's bones, originally misidentified as those of a puppy. All right, you hear that? Content America video. Make sure to go check it out. We talk about bass in that video. And
So
that
let's
literally,
skip
you
a
know,
little bit.
that's
Let's go.
a black
Let's get
jaguar.
to these
That's
artifacts.
what was here. One of the warrior Amazonian queens. Yeah, they dressed up as jaguars too. And you know, that whole thing comes from over here. Again, we just saw our video, right? Mammals, the oldest mammals they found was here. We know mammals originated, first ones that came out of the land was in Pennsylvania period. We got the oldest water, oldest land, you know. So just put everything together. Again, cats, carnivores, mammals came out of America. These comparisons join a vast body of complementary evidence accumulated on behalf of pharaonic influences at work in pre-Columbian America. That's
going back into the channel. Any questions thus far, sis? So you can see that they've been hiding a lot of artifacts from us. And they've been telling you that everybody were the same people on account of skin tone. Everybody was not the same people. Everybody are not the same people. Skin tone do not make them you. They had a family emblem to let you know who they were. Okay? They had a family emblem to let you know who they were. They came in to destined to take your land. this what they did. Let's grab a couple more videos and let's chop it up. Because a lot of us, we don't realize that these people been lying to us. They've been lying to us. Okay? So let's get back in. Let's get in this video. Fair use, fair use. They've been lying to you about who people are. Let's go. That's why when people tell me that Ethiopia, I listen to them. Because I realized they call Ethiopia. Not in ancient times. Okay? Not in ancient times.
We'll have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon.
So let's go ahead and don't start. Fair use under the 1976 Act. This is not my material.
Welcome
So let's
everybody
go.
for another lesson. Today we're going
This
to
is
be
for our
talking about,
people
Native
purpose.
Americans
Let's go.
and the impact of the Israelites and the Creator. And also we're going to be talking about how we only see certain Native American and how you've been left out. I'm going to show you how that happened, the outcome you obviously can see. All right, so let's go. Repeating haya, heya, haya, heya, heya, haya. Heya, heya. Goes, and God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God. So all through the Bible, you see him say that he is I am. That's a reference to the Bible, I am, that I am.
Let me get out of this. I don't want no name. I don't know why I pull that video up. Let me get into the last video. This the sister with this is the video. I want y'all to pay attention to this one right here. Because okay, here we go. This sister's going to try to break down the people coming from overseas, and we already know that's a lie. Okay, so let's go. Fair use, fair use. If y'all like the sister's work, go visit her channel, and go visit her channel and see what she's about. But I'm bringing stuff out in contrast, and I'm gonna break it down. Let's go. Now, notice I want y'all to pay attention. I want y'all to pay attention. How can she become Jewish? She didn't say Judah or Jew or an Israelite. And see, that's what a lot of people in these camps, they look at that word Jewish. Jewish is not a Jew. But let's see what she say. Let's go. And notice what she just did. She said the most famous Jews. She went from Jewish to Jew. Pay attention. Let's go. So she's telling you what she's trying to make you believe is that being an Israelite is a broad text and it goes beyond skin tone. This is what she's telling you in so many words, but she's keep using the word Jewish. And I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about. And this is what I be trying to tell y'all when y'all be coming with that 70 AD story or the African slave trade story. Hint, hint. That these people, they know what they've been telling you and taught you was a lie. Those stories don't exist. Okay? They don't exist. Not the way you was told, not the way you were taught. That's compulsion, that's compulsory education. They gave you their history. But why they never told you about the Egyptian statues and the Egyptian artifacts and the Egyptian writings that they found and the American Indian tribes that was writing in the Egyptian hieroglyphics? Why they never told you about that? So let's go. Including black Jews, goes back when? It goes back 500 years ago, family. 500 years ago. That's when all the Jews' story started, 500 years ago. Notice what she said. Let me repeat it again. Excuse me. I got the hiccups. Let me repeat it. Let me let her repeat her own words again. Let's go. So she's telling you when your origin started in America. That means you're not an indigenous people. You are an immigrant. Huh? You came here, and that's your doctrine. Now watch what she do. This is your doctrine that she's about to point out. And I've been telling y'all this. Let's go. Now she tell you the Israelites who built an independent kingdom. Watch this. Hold on. She say they built an independent kingdom. Let's grab a scripture. Let's grab a scripture in Numbers. Israel didn't build anything. Israel inherit nations. They inherit a kingdom. Let's get that in Numbers. Let's grab that, because see, this is why I say when you don't go by the Bible, you end up saying off the wall stuff. Give me 1 second. Let's go to Numbers. Well, Joshua 20. Let's go to Joshua 24 and 13. Let's see what it says right here. It says, "And I have given you a land for which ye did not labor, and cities which you build not, and you dwell in them, of the vineyard and olive yards which you plant not, do you eat." So what cities did Israel build? Those cities was already there, family. They were already there. So what cities did they build? What cities did they build, family? Huh? What cities did they build? So what is she talking about? Let's listen to her voice again. Let's listen to what she said again. See, she's saying that the Israelites built the kingdom over there. That ain't what the Bible says. The Bible says they inherit a kingdom. And notice what she's saying probably did not look like this. When a person says probably, meaning she either know or refuse to accept the truth, or she don't know and she just only speaking ignorantly. This is the problem that we have to pay attention to. Huh? This is the problem that we have to pay attention to. Because what she's doing, she's throwing in conjecture. She's throwing in conjecture. So let's go. Let's go. So now she's telling you because you've been moving all around the world, it caused your identity to be all over the place. Of people. This is what she's about to say. Let's hear it again. See, this goes with y'all's story about Israel being enslaved by the Assyrians that are pale skinned. And they mixed in with the Israelites and had these different babies. And that's how you get the Mexicans and the Latinos and the Native Americans. That's what y'all get. That's these same compulsory stories that they made up and gave it to you. Let's go. Let's hear it again. Anytime when somebody have to tell you probably,
Maureen,
that means they are lying. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I couldn't hear anything.
You can't hear nothing.
No, I couldn't hear the video if you were playing it. I hear you, but I couldn't hear the video if you was playing something.
Okay, you hear? You hear it now?
No.
Okay, how long the video wasn't being heard?
I mean, I heard the video from before, but I think we started playing the sister's video because mine signed me out and I signed back in. I still couldn't hear anything.
All right, hold on. Let me get. Okay, it knocked me out. All right. I'm gonna start her video back over. Hold on. All right, fair use. It knocked me out. Oh, praises. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, here we go. All right,
Yes,
you see up on there, right?
Yes.
All right, let me start back over. Let's go. Let's go.
Me be Jewish? It's not a completely unfair question. Sometimes when somebody finds out I'm Jewish, they ask me about my history. How can somebody who looks like me be Jewish? It's not a completely unfair question. The most famous Jews are people like Woody Allen, Barbara Streisand, and Jerry Seinfeld. But it's a question that stems from a common misconception that many understand typical Jews to be white people who immigrated from
Pay
Eastern
attention.
Europe.
Do you
When
hear the video
Hollywood-
now? Do you hear the video now, sis?
Yes. So you mean to tell me all the Jewish people are Caucasian, white, pale
No,
skin?
she's saying that's the typical Jewish person
Oh,
that you
okay.
think of today.
Okay.
All right.
got
But
it.
notice she used the words Jewish, Jew. She used the word Jewish and Jew interchangeable, meaning that they are the same. She is trying to equate as they're the same thing. Now, I know that we're going to go to Revelations. I know some people that believe in the New Testament going to go to Revelations 2:9 and 3:9 and say that they are those who say that they are Jews and they're not. Okay. But let's take this video a little deeper than that. Okay. She said that they came from Europe. Let's hear it again. She said they came from Europe. Watch this. Let's go.
Famous Jews are people like Woody Allen, Barbara Streisand, and Jerry Seinfeld. But it's a question that stems from a common misconception that many understand typical Jews to be white people who immigrated from Eastern Europe. When Hollywood standardizes this Eurocentric viewpoint, it betrays reality.
Yeah, what does that mean? What do you mean by that?
Enjoy. Because the image of Jewishness is actually a wide array of Jewish characters, cultures, and something far broader than just skin color.
So she's telling you your culture in Israel as an Israelite is different across the board and across the spectrum. It's different. So that's why you can have people like Latinos and Native Americans and Hispanics and all these other people that look pale be Israelites. This is what she's telling you. She's telling you that the Israelite culture is a variety across the spectrum. It's not the same. Everybody's different. Every nation is different. Let's keep going. Let's see what she get at. Let's go.
Whether we're talking about European, Ethiopian, Yemenite, Indian, Asian, or Turkish Jews, the story of racial and ethnic diversity of the Jewish people goes back millennia.
So she's naming different countries or people. The Yemenites, the Ethiopians, and all these other people. She's saying that those are Jews. Those are Jews. So how can those different countries be Jews the same way that this brother in that Sakari video said that they were Jews in Africa? And they are the Gadites and the Reubenites. That's what he say. They're the Gadites and the Reubenites. Let's go. Let's keep going. Let's see where she going. Because I'm gonna show you what she said that's gonna catch you by surprise if you ain't paying attention. Watch. Notice I want you to keep the word European there. Because that's where she went at. European. They migrated from European. Just in case if you missed it, let me rewind it. Let's go.
Typical Jews to be white people who immigrated from Eastern Europe.
So white people who migrated from Eastern Europe, those are the ones who typically are known as the Jews. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back to where she at. Let's go. Let's pick it up. Let's go.
The Jewish people goes back millennia. The story of Jews in the Americas, including Black Jews, begins.
And notice what she said, including Black Jews, as if you are different. As if you are a different stock of the Jews. Let's go.
Only about 400 or 500 years ago. The Israelites.
So your everything about you as a Jew go back only 500 years ago. But she just said it goes back millenniums. Let's go. Let's go.
Who built an independent kingdom in the land of Israel 4,000 years ago probably didn't look like this.
But we already discovered in Numbers and Joshua that Israel was going to inherit nations of cities and vineyards that they did not build. So what did Israel build besides the temple in the wall? What else they build? Because they inherit nations cities that that they did not even build, that was high to the heavens. So she said they probably didn't look like this. Probably. So let's go. Let's keep it going.
Thousands of years of moving throughout the world has led to the diversification of Jewish identity. There is no one Jewish look.
So she's saying there is no one Jewish look because of migration. Same thing when Israel, when these camps say that they've been going through captivity, so now they whole diversified look has changed. Now remember the two videos that I already shown you. They found artifacts of the Egyptians, the Canaanites, and they found artifacts and paintings of Buddha, whose name is Guatemala, which is Guatemala, and his mother name was Maya, which are the Mayans. And those were niggas. So now we have a diversified of the Jews because they migrated all over the earth. Let's keep going.
2,000 years ago, the tribes of Israel were scattered from their biblical homeland and haven't stopped moving since.
So now she said 2,000 years ago, the biblical Israelites, now she's calling the Israelites again, moved from their homeland and never stopped moving. I want to ask you one question. Notice that these folks will never tell you that the nigger Israelites mixed with the foreign women and had these foreign babies, and they were told to release those women and children. And are those the ones that's calling themselves saying that they the Israelites in these other nations, in these other lands? Because they could be throw off babies that became a nation. Is that who they are? So she say that y'all was exiled from y'all land and y'all never stopped moving. And notice the arrow. They going in 1, 2, 3, they going in 5 directions. 5 directions, family. 5 directions. And notice the map on my thumbnail. I got the 4 states. And most of you sit there and laugh, say, ha, 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 ho, 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 ho. That can't be the 4 corners. But she's showing you right there the same 4 states. But she's showing it to you over there. Let's keep going. This is going to get interesting. Let's go.
Spain, Iraq, Iran, India, and parts of Africa have all had Jewish populations for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Now she say, look at the nation she called: Spain, Portugal, India, Africa, Iraq, Iran had Jewish people in it for thousands of years. Thousands of years. Thousands of years. Jewish people. Notice she said that. Let's hear it again.
Moving since. Spain, Iraq, Iran, India, and parts of Africa have all had Jewish populations for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
She said hundreds, if not thousands of years. But somehow in America, yours is only expanded back 400 to 500. But now she said hundreds, if not thousands. So let's take the thousands off and let's put the hundreds there, because that is going to equate to what happened in America. Let's keep going. Watch this video. Listen to where she's going.
In the late 15th century, after the Spanish Inquisition, when authorities passed a decree forcing Jews to convert to Catholicism.
Let's go back. Let's go back, because my finger kind of hit it when I was talking. I want you to catch all of this. I want you to drink all of this. I want you to pay attention and meditate on all of this. Let's go.
In the late 15th century, after the Spanish Inquisition.
What is the Spanish Inquisition? Sis, do you know what the Spanish Inquisition? Do you know what the Spanish Inquisition was? When was the Spanish Inquisition, sis? Because she said that there was people, there were Jewish people all over the earth. thousands, hundreds, if not hundreds or thousands of years. Sis, do you know what the Spanish Inquisition was? And what year did it take place?
I will have to look that up.
Okay. Spanish Inquisition is the tribunal. I don't know why my mouth. The tribunal of the Holy Office of the Inquisition, commonly known as the Spanish Inquisition, was established in 1478. That was almost a decade before 1492, before Christopher Columbus, quote unquote, supposed to have sailed to America. By the Catholic monarch King Ferdinand II of Aragon and Queen Isabella I of Castile. Okay, what was taking place there? They were causing the European Jews to convert to Catholicism. The European Jews were not Israelites. They were not Israelites. They were Iberian Muslims. Let's keep going. Let's look up the Inquisition a little bit more. Okay. It began towards the end of the what? Reconquista. And what is the Reconquista? The Reconquista is the term used to describe the military campaigns that Christian kingdoms waged against Muslim kingdoms. Follow the what? You made conquest of Hispania. Where's Hispania at, family? That's over in Europe. So where did Hispanics come from? They are Europeans, Huguenots. From the 8th century until 1492. That is the Reconquista. That's what that is. The beginning of the Reconquista is traditionally dated to the Battle of the what? The Covadonga, in which an Aristian army achieved the first Christian victory over the forces of Umayyad Caliphate since the beginning of the military invasion. So, family, who is those European Jews that she's talking about? Those were Muslims that the Christians were fighting. Those were not Israelites. Those were Muslims, Iberian Muslims. But they are masquerading as you, an Israelite. And this is what these camps been doing all the time. They've been mixing European Jewish people who are Muslims into the fray as an Israelite, which also Psalms 83. That's what they don't want you to know. This is what they don't want you to know, family. They don't want you to know this. They don't want you to know this. See how she went back to the Inquisition? because that's what she was talking about all the time. She was talking about people being conquered over there, and they were telling you that they were the Israelites. But they're the European Jews. She tell you that they migrated from Europe, and now she turned that thing right back to the Inquisition. All you got to do is look up the Spanish Inquisition that started in 1472, and it went on to 1492, the time Christopher Columbus sailed to America. Where did some of those Iberian Muslims go? They migrated to to North and West Africa. Some of them fled in Russia. Some of them came to America. And some of them went back to Spain. And converted into Catholicism. Let's keep going. Let's go.
When authorities passed a decree forcing Jews to convert to Catholicism, many Jews fled to the New World and Jewish communities began to develop.
I just sat there and told you they came to America. That's 1492. That's Christopher Columbus. Now I want anybody on this, I want anybody who disagree with that to debunk this. I just sat there and told you that they're not going to tell you that they fled to West Africa. That's why when they was taking Indians back from South America to Europe in the Canary Islands, why they did not bump into the Israelites? Because the Israelites were never there. They were here in America. See, she's telling you that when you claim you come from Africa, this is your story. You are a Muslim that's calling himself an Israelite. This is what's happening here. Let's keep going.
The colonies expanded, Jews from across Europe continued to immigrate.
They say they build colonies. Let's hear that again. She said they build colonies. Let's hear that again from her own mouth.
In the late 15th century, after the Spanish Inquisition, when authorities passed a decree forcing Jews to convert to Catholicism, many Jews fled to the New World and Jewish communities began to develop. As the colony
Notice she said Jewish communities began to develop. But hold on, family. I thought the 10 tribes were already here. I thought the 10 tribes were already here. Now, some of y'all gonna sit there and say, oh, she don't know what she's talking about. She's telling you the story, family, of the Sephardic Jews. I told you, y'all don't like to talk about the Sephardic Jews. They are conversos. What is a converso? A converso is one who is an Iberian Muslim and they transform themselves to become a Christian. They become what you need them to be at the time in order to conquer. Columbus knew who he was. He was already a conqueror. He was already a slave trader. He was a Jesuit. Castu Klum. He was a Jesuit. And a lot of us don't want to talk about this. A lot of us do not want to talk about what this part of history right here. We want to leave this history off. Let's go. Let's keep going.
expanded, Jews from across Europe continued to immigrate. It was
So she said Jews from across the seas, from Europe, began to immigrate to America. So when did those Jews supposedly came to immigrate? So now Israel's conquering Israel? Where is that at in the Bible? Or is we going to Genesis 9:27? You see how they don't want to talk about what Noah prophesied? what Abraham saw? Did Moses begin to now even go further into what Abraham saw and what Noah was prophesying? And then the prophets like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Hosea, and all of them began to now bring that whole puzzle together of what Noah was talking about. Notice nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. Everybody leave that alone because they just want to talk about Esau. Can I get a call from my phone? Let's keep going.
Wasn't long after this that the first Black Jews appeared in America, when in the 1500s, European colonizers in Africa began sending African slaves to their newly built colonies in the Americas.
Hold on. Didn't she say the Jews came here in 1492? Let's back that up now. Back that up, family. Let's back it up. Let's back that up right here. Listen to what she say now. Because she said Jewish colonies were built when they fled the Spanish Inquisition in the 14 and 1500s. Let's hear what she say. Let's go. Let's see what she say.
According to research, it's highly possible that the first Black Jews in the New World. In the late 15th century, after the Spanish Inquisition, when authorities passed a decree forcing Jews to convert to Catholicism, many Jews fled to the New World and Jewish communities began to develop.
So when Jewish communities began to flee to America, then my question is, family, who were the Africans that they were bringing? See, this is where your story goes off the rails of the train. The train goes off the rail. This is where your boat sinks. Because who was the people that came here in 1492? She said they were Jewish people. They were the Jewish people that came here. So now the Jewish people came here in the 14th century. They set up Jewish colonies. Okay? They set up Jewish colonies, according to her story. Let's go.
The colonies expanded. Jews from across Europe continued to immigrate.
So she said Jews from across Europe began to immigrate. Okay? She said Jews from across Europe began to immigrate. They started coming over here by the dozens. Okay? Let's keep going.
It wasn't long after this that the first Black Jews appeared in America, when in the 1500s, European colonizers in Africa began sending African slaves to their newly built colonies in the Americas.
Okay, so now Black Jews began to show up in America by Africans, enslaving them and selling them to the Europeans. So who did they sell them to? Their own brothers and sisters? Because remember, she said Jewish colonies began to be built. So who is the ones that's doing the building? She says it's the Jewish people from Europe. So if the Jewish people from Europe is the ones that's building, then family, my question is, when the so-called African slaves came, the first Black Jews, who were they being sold to? According to her story, they've been sold to the Jewish people, the same people who fled in 1492, the same ones who fled into Africa. So now Israel's supposed to be now enslaving Israel. Listen to her story. Let's go. We about done. Let's go.
According to research, it's highly possible that the first Black Jews in the New World came as slaves from Jewish communities in Africa, like the.
She says highly possible. That means it's not possible. They use these words to confuse you. They use these words to indoctrinate you. That means they're using words to catch you. To catch you. Let's go.
Ethiopian Jews known as the Beta Israel. During the 15 and 16
So she said the Beta Israelites, the Beta Israel, the Beta Jews from Ethiopia came here as slaves. This is what she's saying. So let's rewind it. Let's go. Let's hear it again. Let's go.
in the Americas. According to research, it's highly possible that the first Black Jews in the New World came as slaves from Jewish communities in Africa, like the Ethiopian Jews known as the Beta Israel. During the 15 and 1600s, slave ownership became more and more common in the New World. Over time, these slaves took on the faith of the homes in which they were enslaved, whether by choice or by force.
So she said rather by choice or by force. But then let me ask the question, what happened to the indentured servants that came as well? Who were those people? Is she not going to tell you that? Is she not going to tell you who was the indentured servants that came here willfully? Who were they? Those were the Israelites too? So the Israelites were enslaving the Israelites. That's what she's saying. But see, the camp say no, the Israelites came here and they were enslaved by Esau. This their story. See, these stories are all over the place. That's how you know these stories are not true. These stories are all over the place. That's how you know the story is not true. See, because the way her story is, the Jews fled and came to the New World, which is America. They built up colonies. Those colonies was called penal colonies. They were jail cells. Okay, they didn't even the ones that came here on on boats as in the voyage. They didn't even control those colonies. The Aboriginal communities controlled those colonies, but they were using those colonies as penal systems or jail. So she said they came over here, they built up colonies, and next thing you know, in the 1600s, that's when the Black Jews came, who was sold by the Africans. That's this book here. I keep telling y'all, that's this book here. From Babylon to Timbuktu. See? That's what this book right here talks about. Page 90. You can read it for yourself. They came here. They supposed to have came, the Africans supposed to have sold them and brought them here. That's why I told you, that's your story. Your story is the Muslims that came. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We about done. Let's go.
Most, that meant becoming Christians. But for a small group of slaves, that meant becoming Jews.
So hold on. She say, let's rewind that. I want you to catch that, what she just said. Let's rewind. Let's rewind it. Let's go. Because she said they became slaves willfully or unwillfully. Watch this. Let's go.
Time, these slaves took on the faith of the homes in which they were enslaved, whether by choice or...
She said they took on a faith in the homes that which they were enslaved. But hold on. I thought the Jewish people were Israelites. So now Israelites came here and had a different faith from Torah. And so these black so-called slaves, they took on the faith of the people that were here, who houses they were in, rather if it was Christian or what. Let's see it again. Remember, she said that the Israelites now, Israelites came here, and now the Israelites are enslaving Israelites. Go ahead. You about to say something? Let's go.
In the 1600s, slave ownership became more and more common in the New World. Over time, these slaves took on the faith of the homes in which they were enslaved, whether by choice or by force.
See, rather by choice or by force. So why would an Israelite make another Israelite bow to the knees of another Israelite? You'll say, oh, see, them Israelites, they were wicked. Show me in the Bible where the Israelites going to enslave the Israelites. Show it to me. Let's go.
For most, that meant becoming Christians. But for us,
so now Israel were Christians and brought Christianity to their own brothers that believed in Torah. So they forced their own brothers to become Christians, to believe in the man that went on the cross. They forced their own brothers and sisters to be in idolatry. They supposed to, quote unquote, have the power to free their own brothers, to bring them back to the law. But they forced Christianity onto them. This is y'all's story of the 70 AD, of coming from Africa. Let's go.
Small group of slaves that meant becoming Jews. Over time,
So they became Jews. A small group became Jews. How can you become something you were born into? How can you become something you were born to be? This is your story. Those who stand on the corner telling that we came on slave ships. This is your story. Let's go.
some of these Jewish slaves or their descendants were sold to slave owners in the United States.
So who was the slave owners that they were sold to? Who? Were those Israelites who fled in 1492, who didn't want to become Christians, but end up making the other Israelites, the black ones, to become Christians? Is this your story? They pack you up on these ships right here and brought you to America to make you become a Christian? Is this your story? You fled from your homeland in many directions to keep from becoming a Christian. And you end up becoming a Christian by the same brothers and sisters that fled the first time, that got away, came here, supposed to set up these so-called colonies. And now they bind you to make you a Christian that they fled from. Look at the story. Look how the story don't make no sense. Look how the story don't make no sense. Let's go. That's why I told you. This is the Inquisition story of the Iberian Muslims. Let's go.
Records are sparse. There are accounts of at least some black slaves in the U.S. who maintained their Jewish faith and identity. Regardless of whether they were Jewish or not, black slaves felt a strong connection with the Israelites of the Bible who were rescued from slavery in Egypt and chosen by God for a unique destiny. A verse from Psalms particularly bolstered this connection. Princes shall come out of Egypt, and Ethiopia shall soon stretch forth her hands unto God. This verse empowered and uplifted many, while leading others to believe it to be a proof of a historic peoples.
Tell you that this verse right here is what connects you to be an Israelite. And now I want you to pay attention to that map. Pay attention to that map. That map is very significant. Now I'm gonna put up something real quick. Let me bring up something real quick. I want you to pay attention. The map is in the south. The map is in the southeast. I don't know if my this computer gonna mess up. Pull up the Mississippi Empire. Here we go. It's coming in now. The Mississippi Empire. Now let me go back here. about the map that she showed. From North Carolina all the way southeast to Texas at the tip part of East Coast. And I'm gonna pull up this map right here of the Empire. Okay, what you got coming up? Here we go.
I see different maps.
My screen black. Okay. And do you see how the Mississippi Empire comes to that point? The map that she's showing you the Mississippi Empire. That's what she's showing you. She's showing you the Mississippi Empire. Those are Indians of the Southeast. That's what she's showing you. But she's trying to tie in the Indians of the Southeast to the Jewish people, the Albanian Muslims. That's what she's doing. I even pull this one up. She's trying to lure you in to make you think that those were slaves. Those were not slaves. The Mississippi Empire was thousands and thousands of Negro Indians that was and still is indigenous to the Americas. This is what they don't want you to know. All right, let me come out of this map. You can go and pull out stuff, the Mississippi Empire, and see right there on the map that she got. Let me pull her map back up. Let me pull her video back up. She's telling y'all story and trying to mix in other stories with it. And see, if you're ignorant of this story, then you're going to make it as if this is your story, as if all this stuff mixed. It's together. No, you got to separate this stuff. You have to separate it. And this is what, when you just simply listen to a video, see the map? It's the same map. That's the Mississippi Empire. Those are Aboriginal Negro lands in the South. That's what they call the Bible Belt. They didn't control ain't no European control the South until the Aboriginals decided to stop fighting. The South made Abraham Lincoln write out a fake Emancipation Proclamation declaration because they could not defeat the war. They couldn't beat the Yamasees, the Uchis, the Chief, the Creeks. They could not beat them. The Seminoles. They couldn't beat them. until we had people that look like us help infiltrate to conquer us. Let's keep going. Because see, she's trying to blend all this stuff together. That's y'all story. That's what y'all do who sit there and believe in that African slave trade. You tries to blend in all of this. But there's a separation that what I'm doing today. I'm showing it to you. Let's go. Let's keep riding.
Great Migration of the early 20th century, millions of Black Americans relocated to northern states in search of opportunity.
Now she say millions of Black Americans. But where did those Black Americans come from? Migrated from the South in search for opportunities. Let's pull up where those opportunities came from. Let's go to the Urban Indian Act of 19. Urban Indian Act of 1956. Let's see. See, she's trying to make a collage out of all of this. She missed a whole heap of all that stuff together. This is what she's describing right here. Hold on, let me bring it up. Let me bring it up. Let me bring it up. I thought it automatically show it, but no. Let me stop sharing. Okay, here we go. All right, let me remove. No, I'm doing the wrong thing. No. Okay, now let me pull it up now. This is what they did. When she showed you the map that they were leaving the South and all this and all that, this is what they did, family. This what they were doing. Now, some people can come on and say, well, that didn't mean this and that didn't mean that. But let's see. Here we go right here. Well, I want you to look at the left and the right side of the page. And look at the right side of your page. It's the Indian Relocation Act of 1956. Okay. Daniel, the Indian, now let's go to the left. The Indian Relocation Act of 1956, also documented as Public Law 1959, was a federal government law that was implemented to encourage Native Americans, not a Native American party, the Know Nothing Party that Dane Calloway brings out. Okay. The Native Americans to leave Indian reservations, acquire vocational skills, and assimilate into general population within urban areas like Chicago, Los Angeles, and Denver, etc., etc., etc. Who populated those areas back then? Negroes. The nigger, the nagoose, the tauntaun. So they was encouraging you to come from off your land, from out of your areas, from under your government, to assimilate back with them. I mean, not back with them, but with them. In order to get certain benefits, to get jobs. You can read the whole thing. You can read the whole act yourself. The same things they offering you now every time you go and vote. Programs, jobs, education, healthcare, housing. This what they offer you now to keep you from getting off your back so they can keep their foot on your neck. See, these Albanian Muslims that came in and conquered, they look like the nigger because they're European niggas. Let's go. See, this is what y'all don't want to talk about.
And to escape racist Jim Crow laws. Around the 1920s,
she said they fled to the north to escape the Jim Crow laws. That's a lie. That's a lie. Because the same way people were fleeing to the north, there were many that were fleeing to the south for protection in the Mississippi Empire. There were many that was fleeing to the south, but they tell y'all they were leaving to go out to the north. Some of them were, but many of them was not. They were fleeing down for protection because the wars were the north and the south. There were Indians of the north coming down fighting the Indians of the south because the what you call it? The economy of this land was the south, not the north. And guess who was running the south? The nigger. The Mississippi Empire. That's who was running the south. Let's go. Let me go back a little bit. See, they try to mix everything up. So you won't know no better. So you'll think everything is the same. That's the Mississippi Empire that she's showing you on the map. That's Niggerland. Now they call it the Bible Belt. Because in order to get you, they had to Christianize you. They had to make you believe in something other than yourself, other than your house, other than your family. They have to make you believe that. And now look at us in the South. We used to have gatherings of families. Now families don't even gather no more. Families can't even stand each other no more. Because now we done assimilated into a system that don't respect you nor your family nor your children. Let's go. Let's see what she got. Let's see what she got.
Of the early 20th century, millions of Black Americans relocated to northern states in search of opportunity and to escape racist Jim Crow.
But family, where did the other European Jews go that came in to set up shop in the 1400s? Where did those niggas go? Where did those Jews go? So now only the blacks moving around? Let's keep going.
Laws. Around the 1920s, Black leaders founded Jewish-inspired African-American congregations.
Now the Moorish Zionist temple, the Moorish Zionist temple, and they call that Israelites. Notice she say they founded that. Hold on, family. Let's go back.
Laws. Around the 1920s, Black leaders founded Jewish-inspired African-American congregations.
They founded Jewish African-American congregations. Notice she's using that African congregation, and notice she's using the word Jewish. Jewish African-American congregations. Notice she's not telling you which tribe they are from, because they're not Israel. Those are the Moors, Muslims. That's who this is. We just getting started. I'm not going to be able to put all this in today. Let's go.
For some, these communities would be a path to joining mainstream denominational Judaism.
They won't see, they created all this in order for you to be a part of mainstream. It wasn't for you to return to your bloodline. It was to get you to be a part of mainstream. This what this was about. Let's go.
Mainly through the path of conversion. Conversions would go on to become more common among Black Americans in the decades to follow.
So now you can only become part of mainstream when you convert. Convert to what? Judaism. Don't the Bible in the New Testament talks about Judaism, which is a religion that has nothing to do with Israel? So now, an Israelite going to convert over to Judaism. Why would I? That's like me trying to convert over to become Black or to be an African or to be an Israelite. How can I convert to be what I am? I'm not Black. I'm not even an African American. But how can I convert over to be an Israelite when I am an Israelite? Call Alice. Ronnie in the hospital. Ronnie. How? How? How can I be an Israelite? How can I convert to be an Israelite? Let's go. I'm about to wrap it up.
Most famous example of conversion was the world-famous singer, actor, and comedian Sammy Davis Jr. Born to a Catholic mother and a Baptist father, Davis began his journey to Judaism after surviving a car crash in 1954.
So he became a Jew. He converted into Judaism. But it never say he was an Israelite. He became Judaism, but not an Israelite. Let's go.
Discovered the similarities between Judaism and Black culture from his friend, comedian Eddie Cantor, which led Davis to study the religion further and eventually convert.
So he studied the religion further and converted. How do you convert to become an Israelite? Either you is Israel or you're not. How do you join a group and say that is Israel? How do you do it? Tell me how you do it, family. How do you convert or join a group and say you're an Israelite? You come in and say I'm an Israelite, but you don't say, but your family, you haven't even talked to your family yet. That's a converter. Let's go. And that's what many of you are, converts. Because a lot of the Albanian Muslims came here. Let's go.
Another notable convert from this time was the civil rights activist Charles McDew. He converted to Judaism in high school, finding inspiration from a quote from the Ethics of the Fathers: "If I am only for myself, what am I? If not now, when?" Quote established a moral obligation to fight injustice and would become a mantra for him in his decades-long fight for civil rights.
High-profile people converted to Judaism, but they never told you that you were Israel. They never told you was Israel. Let's go.
Like these lead many people to believe that if they're meeting a Black Jew, they're meeting a convert. But that's not the case, especially today. I myself am not a convert, nor were my parents. My father is a Black Christian from Georgia, where his family had been for generations, while my Jewish mother's family came to Kansas from Eastern Europe.
She's a mamzar. She's a bastard. That's why she's high yellow. She's a bastard. She's a mamzar. See? And that's why a lot of people don't want to do their background research, because they're going to find out and figure out that they are mamzars. That's who they are. Let's keep it real. She says she's not a convert, but you're a bastard. Deuteronomy 24:3. You're a bastard. Let's go.
Interracial marriages like my parents are not unusual today. They used to be extremely uncommon and were even illegal in many states until 1967. That's what.
So illegal. The Supreme Court decision okay interracial marriage, but the Bible never agreed to it. So because your parents decide to go and mix, that makes you what somebody else is. So if I go and sleep with an Asian woman, my child is automatically a nigger? How? You see how that father-only seed messes up everything? The father-only seed messes up everything. How is that I'm an Israelite when I mix with someone, when I mix with another woman that is not of my gene pool? How? This is the problem, family. This is the problem. Let's go.
When the Supreme Court ruled in Loving versus Virginia against anti-miscegenation laws.
This is Tennessee. High courts erase interracial ban. You know why they're doing that? It's because that's when they started getting mixed in with the bottom, with the people at the bottom, the South. And they started mixing in with the females. So they banned it. And the men in the civil rights movement was about interracial marriage. A lot of them was not Israelites, like Martin Luther King. His people was from Europe. I bet you Al Sharpton people is not even from here. And if they are, they're not Israel. All these people are against you. That's why they have what is called that funny looking hair. That funny looking hair means they mix some way down in the seed line is mixed. They have those big heads, those craniums, those Asian heads, not the pale people, but like the Malaysian heads, African heads. Let's go. We're about to close out.
Allowing for legal interracial marriage across the U.S. Many of those marriages were between Blacks and Jews. In the second half of the 20th century, the number of Black Jews increased significantly. This included the Jewish families and those who converted.
So it was a 3-1, born Jewish, adopted by Jews, or converted. So when you're born Jew, you're 100% Albanian. When you adopted as by a Jew, that means somebody allowed you to come in as a religion or into the family. means you married into the family, and a converter means that you just took on the religion of those Jewish people. Let's go.
That tapestry was on display in December 1993 at a symposium at the California African American Museum entitled Where Worlds Collide: The Souls of African American Jews. Shortly thereafter, Black and multiracial Jews began forming organizations to support their particular concerns, issues, and Jewish heritage.
These are your boulets. These are your boulets, and we're gonna get into that soon. These are your boulets that's coming in right now, what she's showing you. These are your multiracial people. These are your boulets. These are your spokesmen. These are your leaders that sits at the table making policy about you as an American so-called Indian. These are European people. They're mixed in with Japheth. And they're making policy on you. See, it was to come over here to conquer you, family. Let's go.
In 1995, Robin Washington founded the National Conference of Black Jews. Around the year 2000, B'chol Lashon was founded to support Jewish interracial families. Around the same time, Yavila McCoy, a Black Orthodox diversity educator and consultant, started the Ayeka Resource Organization to provide support and resources for a multidimensional Jewish identity.
See, these are all European people. These not your people, but they're your buffer class. Let's go.
Other multiracial Jewish organizations include Jews in All Hues, founded in 2009 by...
See, they're trying to make you mix. They want you to be mixed. See, this is what I'm trying to tell you. That's why you see that chart. They parading that chart all over. They're not parading the real Israelites. They're parading the Albanian Muslims that have mixed with the Khazarians. They mixing the Moabites and the Canaanites and Ham descendants, mixing in with who? Japheth. And they're parading around as if they're you. Let's go.
Jared Jackson, the Jews of Color Initiative, founded in 2016, and Joyous Justice, founded by April and Baskin that same year. The work of individuals and organizations like these and others have helped Jews and non-Jews alike.
See, they multiracial. Population of the Jews of color is increasing in U.S. despite uncounting in population studies. See, they're telling you that you're mixed. See, that's why they show you these charts on the corner. They're telling you that the Latinos and the Native Americans and the Hispanics, the pale people that's in these camps, they're promoting this right here. They're the ones, they're promoting this in the back door. See, I know what I'm talking about. They're promoting this from the back door. And they got many of you joining those camps following that doctrine. And you are promoting a convert of Judaism. Those people that came in 1492. This is what they did. Let's go. We about done.
This shift has been aided in no small part by the fame of notable and talented Black Jewish performers in pop culture. Actors such as Daveed Diggs, Tiffany Haddish, and Rashida Jones have become household names. Drake, Yitz Jordan, aka Y-Love, Shine, once known as Jamal Barrow, but now Moses Levi Barrow, Lenny Kravitz, and Nissim Black have all had success in the music industry. However, as much as Black Jews in popular culture, race relations in America have remained...
All those people were Jewish people. Those were your Jewish people, those entertainers. And there's many more. You wonder how these people just pop up on the screen? That's your upper class family. Those people ain't you. But you look at them as you because they got your same skin tone. This is the problem. Let's go.
Complicated, especially in the realm of identity politics. When supporters of the Black Lives Matter movement engaged in protests beginning in 2016, many Black Jews, rabbis, and rabbinical students protests, reading from the Book of Lamentations, blowing the shofar, shofar and reciting the mourner's Kaddish. However, as individuals and leaders within the BLM movement have spoken in opposition to Israel and Zionism, with a few groups going so far as to exclude Jewish organizations and participants, many Black Jews find themselves in a difficult situation where aspects of their identity seem in conflict, a dilemma between race and their religious and cultural identity. Today, Black, Latino, Asian, Mizrahi, and other non-white Jews make up 20%. This group is often referred to as Jews of color, though the term is contested, and I personally don't identify as a Jew of color, which you can read more about in my article on the subject linked below. Despite growing awareness within the Jewish community, many Jews of color continue to feel that Jewish individuals and organizations treat them as other, requiring them to explain and justify their existence and fight biases within their community. Especially in this cultural moment where racial awareness is in high focus, strengthening the bond between Jews of all colors is a realization of our most important Jewish values, that we unite as a people in our shared mission while treating all humans with respect and dignity.
So there you have it, family. There you have it. That's y'all story. Y'all promoting the Sephardic story. That's what y'all promoting. Y'all are promoting the Sephardic story. So they got buffer classes that came out, and that became you, because that's what y'all promote. Y'all promote something that is your enemy. And this is the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem. So, family, if you don't know now, you about to know. They are your buffer class, and they are your people that is claiming to be you. And they are going around masquerading themselves as the Israelites. The Israelites is a bloodline. It's not no club, it's not no religion, and it's not an organization. It's an actual bloodline. But you got these people, you coming in, joining, paying dues, but you don't see them doing nothing for your people, because they just church continue to pull your resources and make you stay broke in order to stay a part of them. While they could take lavish vacations, you steady have to continue to give your hard-earned money away to them. But then when you need something, they will tell you to go to hell or fill out all kind of papers to be able to get any kind of dollars from them. So, family, today this is part one. Because the Albanian Jews have infiltrated the nation of Israel communities. And some of us are already mixed out. Some of us are already mixed out. I'm sad to say, some of us are already mixed out. Some of us done became bastards. And the ones that know this will never tell you the truth. So, family, in the Creator's will next week, going to be another bomber. So until then, may your Shabbat continue to be peaceful, restful, and relaxful. This is ITFTR Network. Continue to let your Shabbat be peace. Shalom, family. And if this is not your Shabbat, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.